Hello everybody, this is my over-enthusiastic YouTube intro, and today I want to talk to you about my project, a project that I'm going to be working on. So the project I'm going to be working on is basically called, Is Meditation Useless? Now, just to start off, I don't think meditation is useless. I was a Buddhist in my early adolescence. Throughout my adolescence, I've turned again and again back to meditation to, at different times in my life, I've found it to varying degrees of benefit. I also studied Tai Chi for a little bit, which has elements of mindfulness, meditation, and attentive stuff, and as well as, martial application, kind of. But long story short, I don't find meditation to be useless, but I do think some of its statements can be, or its claims can be overstated. There are claims that, people say that it can basically cure everything from social anxiety to gout, and I don't necessarily think that that is true. And there are also meditation skeptics that basically say, well, meditation is not really, doesn't really do anything. I think those are far and few in between. I want to know. I want to know what the evidence says, and I want to zero in. So, I guess to start. So where am I starting here? Right? Okay. So one thing I'm doing is I'm studying a bunch of the meta-analyses that have been done over the past decade or so, to try and get an understanding of what does the evidence say, and also who are the people doing these meta-analyses. I can't go too deep into individual studies. I don't have that much time, but it's something I'm looking into. One of the meta-analyses that I was looking into was something published in Nature. I think it was Nature Mental Health. Yeah, Nature Mental Health. The study is called Systematic Review and Individual Participant Data Meta-Analysis of Randomized Controlled Trials Assessing Mindfulness-Based Programs for Mental Health Promotion. And the lead author, and I'm going to butcher her name, Julieta Galante. Forgive me. So she was the lead author on this paper, and at one point she says that the most advocated for, or the most widely taught program of meditation was so-called mindfulness-based program called Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction, or MBSR, right? MBSR is a program created by John Kabat-Zinn. If you're in like the wooey kind of spaces, you probably heard his name before. He was a biochemist, I think. I forget entirely, but he was like a biochemist, a Ph.D., I think, who was working at University of Massachusetts. He started this mindfulness-based stress reduction, the beginnings of it, and it's basically been around since the 70s, this sort of idea. It culminates to the present day, where it's an 8-week course where they secularized basically a Buddhist kind of practice, so that people who are kind of like yikes Buddhism will be more inclined to drink some of the Kool-Aid, and more power to them. This is coffee. This isn't Kool-Aid. Okay, so mindfulness-based stress reduction in this meta-analysis was the primary thing that was taught. So I thought it would be fun to do this program. But caveat, I don't have enough money to take this program. I don't. It's like $500 some odd to get my stress reduced. That's stressful in and of itself. But what I do have money for are books, and I bought 3 of them. The 3 books I bought, give me a second, I have it on my phone here. The 3 books I bought believe it or not, are all called mindfulness-based stress reduction, and the only real difference is the subtitle. So the first subtitle is the Oh, hold on. We're going to go back to the beginning because I have to remember the title. Come on. Title. Okay. The MBSR Program for Enhancing Health and Vitality by Linda Leirhaupt and Petra Meibert. Linda Leirhaupt, Ph.D., and Petra Meibert, Diploma of Psychology, I guess. Diploma of Psych. Okay, so that's the first book I got. The second book I bought is called A Mindful-Based Stress Reduction Workbook, second edition by Bob Stahl, Ph.D., and Elisha Goldstein, Ph.D., and with a foreword by John Kabat, and look at that. So that was the second book I got, and then the third book I got. So we got the first book covers the 8-week course. They lay it out as if you were doing the 8-week course, and they sort of covered broadly what's covered in the 8-week course. The Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction Workbook, I don't think it quite follows the same 8-week paradigm, but I think it probably broadly aligns. One difference I noted is in the first book, they start with pretty much the exercise about like doing mindfulness about a raisin, like the taste of a raisin. I think they both had that kind of idea. And then one focused on like the workbook focused on like an internal check-in and do that over the next week. And the other one talked about like a body scan and, mindful eating in general. I think that's what it was. Both of these books emphasize there seems to be kind of like acceptance and commitment therapy kind of attitude they want you to adopt, where basically you're committed to completing the process. They want you to gear up, but not to be too harsh on yourself. That seems to be a commonality between these two books. All right. And then the third book I got is called Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction Protocol, Practice, and Teaching Skills. A comprehensive guide to facilitating the 8-week MBSR program. And I got this book to sort of understand how the meditative sausage is made. That is, what do some supposed experts... Oh, and the book is written by Susan L. Woods, MSW, LICSW, and Patricia Rockman, MD, with foreword by Diane Rebel. A lot of these names I'm unfamiliar with, though I am finding some interesting connections as I look into them. Okay, so what I like about this book, as I've gotten into it, is it seems to apply a more critical eye to the MBSR stuff. The first two books are kind of like a sales pitchy, like the first chapters are like, here's what's so great about MBSR. And what I find unfortunate about this third book is that it's written for teachers, and they pretty much start out with criticism. And I think the criticism is good. I think it's unfortunate that this stuff isn't explicated in the other books. They seem to have a much more thoughtful approach about what criticisms there might be in terms of taking something that basically has historical roots in Buddhism, and basically saying, actually, no, that doesn't, what Buddhism, what's that? I have no idea. We don't need the Buddhism because this just works out of context. They have a lot more of a nuanced view about what that there may be issues when you take a practice out of its original intended consequence and out of its, the systems of thought that have interacted with the consequences of this practice. And I mean, so they have a lot more nuanced of a view. It's I like it. I like this so far. And like I say, my primary criticism is that they this is geared towards teachers. So it's like after you've already drank the Kool-Aid, it's like, okay, so here's the antidote for the poison, right? Like, you've been lied to. Or, like, here's some criticism, which, maybe there's some hesitance to be too critical starting off in teaching this stuff to beginners, or in criticizing it too much to beginners, because they're afraid that it might scare them off from something that may benefit them. Like, I get it, but and it's hard to give beginners context, right? Like, I understand that as well, but I think there's, part of clinical work is informed consent as well, and I think it's important to figure out the appropriate level of information that can convey some of these criticisms that you can give in a concise way to someone you're treating, right? This is good. Who would have a problem with any of that? I don't know. Okay, so these 3 books are what I've got to work with. And what I'm going to do is basically try and do the 8-week course. Like I say, I don't have the money, but I have a book that follows the 8-week course. I have a workbook, and I have this teacher's book that can give me some more insights into like what might a teacher be looking at in terms of teaching this kind of course. So I'm going to start it. And like I say, I'm not a beginner with meditation, so I'm not really worried about I guess what I'm saying is what I lack in having a teacher, I make up for in hubris. Okay? What I mean by that is, like, I have some background in meditation. I'm fairly stable at the moment, and I feel like with enough attention, mindfulness, I should be able to emulate it okay enough. I'm not expecting to get the results of, like, if you attended a teacher training and I was just attending the actual class and I was interacting with other students and all of the above. But I do anticipate gaining some kind of benefit from it, especially if I'm able to remain consistent. So that's where I'm at. Today's day 1. And what did I do on day 1? They have an exercise called the raisin exercise, where you like take a raisin or some other piece of food and you look at it and you're like, this is an interesting piece of food. And you smell it, you're like savoring the raisin. That's like the first exercise. And then the second exercise, like a body scan or internal checking in. And that's kind of where they start you off. So that's what I'm working on this week. Today is Monday. And I'm going to see where this takes me. Just some closing thoughts here. I don't have a regular meditative practice at the moment. I like to do some thinking and some mild meditation to and from work when it is I walk to work. I don't really do it when I'm driving. But when it is I walk to work, I do some checking in, mostly kind of, what do they call it? It's like scanning or, I was just talking about this the other day. Basically, open monitoring. That's what I'm talking about. So just like being aware of your environment, sort of just noticing where your attention goes. That's basically my practice now. And occasionally when I get around to it, I do some Tai Chi as well. I have a set of things that I do with respect to that, but I'm not really engaging with other people right now. I just don't really have anyone to play Tai Chi with, so it's mostly just a personal practice, which comes with its own kind of problems. But that's where I'm starting off. We're gonna try and do this whole 8-week stretch. I'm gonna try and check in every day with where I'm at and what my practice entails. I think we're going to try and do an hour, maybe a half hour of formal, maybe 40 minutes of formal, quote unquote, mindfulness. We'll follow the workbook in that we'll be doing, so this week I'm supposed to be doing formally sort of internal check-in, body scan type stuff. And then informally, just like eating meditation, right? So just, kind of savoring stuff. So those will be my formal, informal practices. Today I already did that, and we'll see how it goes. Hopefully, at the end of 8 weeks, I will have achieved complete and total enlightenment and cessation of all of my stress, and I will have achieved stress nirvana. And I believe I believe I can do it, guys. 8 weeks to achieving full cessation of stress. We can do it. Okay, let's go. All right. Thanks for tuning in. See you tomorrow, maybe or not. And yeah, I'll let you know how it goes. All right. Take care. Bye.